Greetings to all of God's great people under God's great heavens in His great green earth. Hey, this is Brother Al. I'm here again with you on another series. I believe that helps the body of Christ and helps the community and people at large, just humanity, with a subject on that will help the uh, women with the black men in their life. The topic that we've got here today that I want to share with you is how to be that helper that can get your black man, your husband, son, or even friend motivated to be successful or motivated to succeed. That's what the topic is today. Um, I understand, especially here in the Americas, that we have so many black men with frustrated women, mothers that want to see them do more, and they just seem like they can't get to that point. And I want to help with that today. I want to bring some points out that I believe will give you hope and give you some motivation, and in turn, when you're motivated, you'll be able to help be um, a agent of motivation to the man. I do want to make a certain disclaimer that what I am not saying, I don't want you to be the motivation, but to help be the agent to get him motivated. And there are two different things. A couple of months ago, or a month ago, I did a series on mothering versus helping a man. And there was a great distinction in between that, where a lot of women get frustrated in helping their man, especially the black man, in many cases, because they fall into a mothering state, which is not actually helping. If you want a little bit more about that, you can take a look at the video that I did uh, called Mothering versus Helping Your Man. And so today we want to get into actually what is a helper, that helpmeet that God said in Genesis 2 and 18. He said, God saw that it was not good that the man should be alone, and therefore he made him a helpmeet suitable for him. And here comes the beautiful woman into his life, the lady, the bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh, in order to help him with the mandate that God had given him prior to her arrival upon the earth. The thing that most women have to realize, every man has a mandate from God, whether he's black or white. But unfortunately, the plight is what happened to the black man here in America because of the negative and the slavery and the things like that in the past have stunted his growth. And this is not a poor me message, you know, having to blame the reason why. I'm saying at this point in time that we got to get up and move from there. What happened then has happened, but we have to deal with the effects of what happened. But we have to move on. We can't no longer blame the game and allow ourselves, especially as men, to hold our heads down because of the past, that we can't get ahead in our future. So, first of all, with this message meaning helping to be that help to get your man motivated, I want to say this to all of the ladies. First of all, you must believe that black men can be successful. They can be productive. They can have a good family life and oriented in their minds. Therefore, it is important to you that I'm going to suggest you to do is to do at least a 15-minute research. You don't have to do it very long, but get on the internet, go to the library, or however you do research, and go just type in successful black men in Africa. Anything to get the information to you so that you can get the faith and believe that yes, these black men can do something. Because what I'm telling you, because of the environment that we live in here in America, we're not inundated with that information. We normally get the negative things about our black men, and especially it affects the black woman in such a way sometimes she don't even believe he can succeed. But I am telling you that from my research over a few years in this area, being a black man myself and also struggling sometimes in some of the endeavors I want to make, and being over 30 years old, let me tell you something. Uh, it's sometimes it's hard because you're programmed a lot of times to believe you can't do anything. And so I'm telling you to first of all do this for yourself. You'll be surprised of how many successful millionaires, black billionaires they exist in this world. Entrepreneurs, scientists, doctors, lawyers, inventors that actually exist in this present day. They existed in the past. Uh, we just don't know about them. I just recently found out that there were some black people that were involved in the founding of this country. They were with Washington in the Civil War. One of the black men that was in there was actually supposed to have been one of his right hand man that was actually uh, possibly very responsible for success of defeating in the Civil War and bringing the slavery movement down. But we don't hear about those things. And while I'm saying this, I want to make a note. In the video underneath the description, I'm going to put some links down there that will help you also to find some of this information that I'm talking about. It will blow your mind. It will continually blow your mind, my sister, to see that you had some strong black men out there that were responsible for the building of this great nation that you see. You wouldn't have never. They're the first lawyers, the first judges were way back in I believe, past the 1700s. We don't hear about them. There was a black Speaker of the House. They were sitting in the government of the America, forming this great country. But all of that history was moved out. It was edited out of the the teaching, because listen, slavery was big money. It was not just about race. It was a lot about money, and in order to keep this thing going and keep the black man from realizing that he could attain, go further than he did, he had to be censored in the information he had. He had to have his identity wiped away, and that was one of the things that they did when they came over here. And it really had nothing to do with particularly black. It had to do with being superior, someone being able to make a movement in money. Like I said again, slavery was about way more about money than it was about skin tone. If you really dig into it, because there were black people, the very rich is what I'm saying, was involved in the movement. It was just that blacks were stronger. They had stronger backs. They can endure. There were many other races that were tried to use as slavery. They just couldn't endure the pain. They couldn't work hard. They didn't have the strength and the muscle and the endurance. So unfortunately, the black fell into that. We were trusting. We were peaceful people, earth-loving people, and yes, we were exploited because of that. But let's say, hey, that's not all of us, and that's not all in the world. There's so many successful black men that you would just be surprised. So, sisters, I want to first encourage you to make that research, okay? And once you find that out, then that'll help you in your endeavor to help get him motivated. Now, this is what I want to say. Down in every side of every black man, as I just mentioned, there are these kings, these entrepreneurs, these millionaires, this ability for him to lead and guide and govern his family and his self, and to become a positive contributor to society. You being the helper can actually help him to realize that. You can't be the motivator, but you can help him to get motivated by the types of material, the types of words, the things that you say to him will actually cause him to open up and to receive these things that he's actually void of. He doesn't know, most black men doesn't know that there are these powerful black men that came from his lineage. There's one thing that I'm going to tell you right now that I guarantee you 99% of most African Americans, even the most astute and educated, do not know that the richest man in history of the whole earth was a black man. This is something we just don't know. His name was King Mansa Musa. He was a black king that reigned in West Africa in the Malayan Empire, which today is the modern Ghana and the Timbuktu tribes and Mali. He was estimated to have a wealth of over $400 billion. Even today, not even the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Fords, or Carnegie exceeded his wealth. I've got a picture that they've kind of made a presentation of how this actual king looked. This is him. This is actual Mansa Musa, this great king that was one of the greatest uh, uh, businessmen and wealthiest persons on the earth. Now, listen, every great financial European scholars know that he existed, but they're not going to give you that information. But knowing this as a black man and getting this information and knowing that what's inside of him is possible, first of all, starts working on his conscience to get him to that level to become this man, to wake up and believe that he can. We're so inundated in this country and in the media of seeing so many negative things that we just sometimes don't even believe in ourselves as men that I can do anything. Uh, but when you get this kind of information about King Musa, it is just tremendous what it does for him. It did something for me that I just can't explain when I found that. Good Lord, because sometimes a man can even think, God, why in the world are you allowing so many other people to prosper? And I look at my race and we're not prospering. Well, listen, I'm not going to hold anything against somebody that wants to stay on the top. The Europeans, they certainly, my sister, want to stay on the top, so they're going to keep that information from you. They want to rule. And that's nature. I don't know what to say about it. It's called the survival of the fittest, and we got to stop blaming and holding our heads down and get up and do something about it. God will help a man that will continually to press forward to help himself. So here we got King Mansa Musa, the richest man so far upon the face of earth, even more money than Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. Get this information to your man. Help him to understand who he is, where he came from, what's inside of him. Now, I want to say this. When you bring this information to your man, your son, or your friend, never compare him, but esteem him as he is just like this man. Baby, son, Kenny, Malik, you have the same qualities he has. Don't ever say, why don't you be like him? Because that challenges a man and that does not going to be good. But if he feels that you relate to this successful man as the same thing to him, believe me, my sister, my ladies, it will do wonders for his ego. It will do wonders for his ability, awareness that he's strong, that he can do something. I'm going to tell you a little formula to use. It is called the no name, no face hero. You can use this on your son. You can use this on with your man, with your husband, and your friend. It tremendously works. And again, this is called the no name, no face hero. And what this actual formula does is when you recognize that there's some man that has a great character, especially if he's black and successful, and you recognize this as a female, when you come uh, to your man, and you said, man, I really wish he would get on the ball like this other guy, or I want my son to esteem to be in a position like that, to take these responsibilities in life. I want you to do something. I want you to come back and tell him, today I saw this fellow and he reminded me of you. He was the CEO of this company. Don't ever mention the guy's name. Don't ever give him a face. All you had to see, he was a black man. And it was so unusual to see him in that position that I believe that you are just like him. Ladies, let me tell you something. He may hawk at a moment and get a little negative. He may get a little defensive until he understands what you're saying. But when he goes back into his cave and see men have to muse over things and what you tell him, he'll begin to realize that, wow, she really believes in me and she really believes that I can be this. And also, this guy exists. And without giving him a face, without giving him a name, let me tell you something. He will live in his vision as a history, as a hero forever. How do I know this? I'm going to tell you, I experienced this in my own life. My mother, being raised by a single mother, my mother recognized a lot of my gifts and talents, and she always told me that I was very good in fixing things and could solve problems and things like that. And she helped me with the esteem of recognizing my gifts. But I grew up in a regular neighborhood, all African American men, where we did not see a lot of successful black men. My father was not that successful, and he didn't live with us half the time. And so, actually, she came home one day. She worked at a business where a man came in to work for IBM. He was a black man, and she esteemed him as she saw this black man working for IBM. This was many years ago when this was really unheard of. She was so taken by him that she paid attention to what he did, and she came back home and she told me, and I was a young man at the time. I couldn't probably been no more than about 13 or 14 years old. She said, Alan, she said, I saw this black man today. He said he was working on computers. Man, was he smart. He worked for IBM. And she didn't paint a face. She didn't give a name. She just mentioned this guy to me. And she seemed so, uh, I guess, honored and esteemed by him. It made me think as that little boy, wow, that's what, having something like that will really have my mother and a lady respect me to that degree. It stuck in my conscience as a little boy. Let me tell you what happened. I grew up and never forgot this man. Never saw his face, never knew his name. But when I saw how it affected my mother, it affected me, because down in every little boy and every little man and every man is this thing to be this hero to his wife, to his mother, to the woman, to the ladies in his life. It's down there. God put it down there. Whether or not it ever bursts, it's there. But this was planted into me by my mother, this wonderful lady that was smart. When I finally got out and got old enough, I got into the world, didn't necessarily do everything that I should have done. And when I got my back against the wall and needed to do something in life, hear this, ladies. I can remember what she said. Alan, you can fix anything. And I remember the hero with no face and no name. And the reason why I'm saying don't give him a name or a face, because if you give somebody a name, he might go out and do something stupid. And then you say, oh, I thought he was something. If you give him a name, I heard his name. If you remember his face, might see him on the corner, at Skid Row one day. So then again, you can't believe in him. But without me having a name and a face of this guy, he's forever this uh, great black man that worked for IBM in a day when there was actually possibly not any black men doing that worldwide. When I got my back against the wall, I remember the words that my mother told me. I decided to go to school in the computer area. Young man, 18, 19 years old, and I ended up having a 30-year, very successful career in one of the biggest computer companies in the world, the United States, as a system troubleshooter. As a result of her giving me that information, let me tell you something. Ladies, when God said that you were a helpmeet, the words that you speak, the things that you say to Him, if they're positive, God has made a special place in His heart for those to be deposited, and He will bloom, He will prosper. You may not realize it, but let me tell you something. It will happen. The things that you present to Him will cause Him to be motivated. I don't want you to be the motivator. You don't have to get up and tell Him, Henry, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? All you have to do is feed the king that's inside of him. That's what God gave Eve to do. The man Adam already had his career. He already had his marching orders. So therefore, all he needed was the helper to help him to get there, and to help be a cheerleader and a motivator. There is a picture that I saw, and I want all of you ladies to get this. It's called the African Renaissance Monument. When I saw this thing, let me tell you something. What it did for me as a black man, I cannot explain. But I got the strength. It's a monument that's built over in Dakar, Senegal, in West Africa. It was uh, it was sanctioned to be built by the third king, not a king, but a president at that time, called Aboulay Wade of Senegal. He commissioned a black architect to build this monument called Pierre Goudabe. It is tremendous. I've got a little copy of it right here. I want you to take a look at it, if you can see. This is over 160 feet tall. Down at the bottom here, these are people on steps coming to see it. This is how big and this thing is. And it's a black man with his family, with his woman by his side, and his son. And the president of that particular country, understanding the plight of the black man, had this commission and built. And let me tell you something. When a black man sees this, he's strong. The picture doesn't do justice to seeing it, but I want you to pull it up. It's called the African Renaissance Monument. Pull that up. Take a look at it. Print it out. Get a picture. Put it in your house so your man, your son, your friend, the people that you want to motivate can see that. You won't have to say a word. All that man has to do is look at it, because men are visual. The things that they learn, the things that they contemplate in life will sink into him because he's visual. He'll see this thing. I'm telling you, it made me look like it, not look like, but it made me feel like that I was the Hercules of my home, my family, my wife, and children. Let me tell you something. Don't ever, ever count out the black man. There are things that you can do to help him. I've got a list here also. I want you to take a list of this. I'm going to put these websites where you can find all this information. Here is a list that you don't even know. It's called Africans Billionaire List. There's over, think, 10 to 15, 16 billionaires. It's a list of all of them. It tells what they're worth. Here's the top one. He is called Aliko Dangote. He's in Nigeria, and he's worth $14.4 billion. Black men need to know this information. It goes on down. Here's another one, Mike Andunjaja. He's worth $10 billion. Get this information out to your men, to the boys in your life, to the men, your cousins, the black men, and tell them this is what you're capable of. Don't let these things go by. I'm telling you, my sister, there's a king in your man, in your son, in your cousin. Why do you think it was such a thing to keep the blacks from reading, and especially black men? Why do you think we were so hurt and pushed and kept down? They didn't want their strength to be used for something else because they knew where we came from. There are many wars that blacks won that you'll never hear about unless you research it. Get this information into this man. Help him to motivate it to be successful. I guarantee you that you will not be disappointed. But remember, learn this information yourself so that you can be convinced. I'm telling you that there's been a work on you too not to believe in him. Have you ever noticed that most black women can succeed past a black man? She can get a better job. She can get educated better. You ever notice that? There's a reason behind that, my sisters. Don't allow that to keep you depressed because we have to live with each other. So we might as well do the best by each other. Love all men. And this is not necessarily a black, white thing. This is a survival thing that I want you to know. Learn how to love everybody, but don't let everybody ride your back. This is Brother Al, again, telling you that God loves you, He's with you, and He's planned a successful future for you and me. As a black African American, I am saying go with God. Go with His peace, go with His power, go with His wealth, go with His prosperity. And may God bless you and may God love you. Amen.